The beeping that you hear comes from a VHF collar around the neck of a sow grizzly bear. This was taken in July 2011, east of Cutbank, Montana. For everybody that thinks grizzly bears live in the mountains, take a look at the terrain. We're about 60 miles east of the main chain of the Rocky Mountains. In 2009, two younger bears were captured and relocated from a position that was another 40 miles east of here, so almost 100 miles away from the main chain of the Rocky Mountains. The airplane has antennas located on the left and the right struts. With a switch box inside the airplane, we switch from left to right and see which way the sound is the loudest. Then by doing some circles and maneuvering around, we try to get the sound on one side of the aircraft, usually the right because the observer's there, and circle around and try to pinpoint the bear on the ground. As we get closer to the signal becomes louder, so the gain is turned down on the receiver in the airplane. And we keep descending, trying to pinpoint this bear. Now, depending on the terrain, this can be easy on the flat plains of Montana here. Sometimes you can pick up a bear from maybe 30 miles away and home right in on it. In this case here, with these rough river breaks, the bear being down in the bottom, you might not get it unless you're flying right over top of very high. And then as you descend, the banks of the river breaks will shield the signal. So you're out here circling around, playing hide and seek with the bear, seeing if you can finally be circling right over above it at 200-300 feet above the ground. On this day, we descended to 200-300 feet above the surface, and we're circling around these breaks here, trying to find the bear. But what often happens is the bear will hear the airplane coming, and then it'll go hide under some brush or some trees, just staying out of sight as we're circling around and around. 200 years ago, the grizzly bear was a plains animal. In the 20th century, it was more or less relegated to some hiding places up in the mountains. With the expansion of the population here, Glacier Park and south of there, the bears are starting to find their way back down these drainages back out in the eastern plains of Montana. Now here's more what we would think of as a traditional setting to find the grizzly bears. Mountains of Glacier Park there off to the west. This area here, just immediately east of the park, like St. Mary's, has had fires in the last 10 years. 2 of them go by here, but there's little patches of green. And as we come circling around, sometimes we can get to see the bears in these videos, but because of the lens on the camera, all they end up being really is just a couple little dark specks. I'll try to point them out, but they go by fast. I'm circling around to the right. The camera's on my mounted on my headset. I'm looking down, and of course the technician is sitting there on the right side, so blocking a lot of the views, but he's the one that's got to see what we want to see in this case. Next area coming up is on the south end of the park, still east of the mountains, by East Glacier, Montana. And in this case, we might be able to get a quick glimpse of a couple little black specks as we go on by. But this again is down out of the mountains, green lush habitat here. And during the summer, a lot of bears spend up on this ridge just away from the mountains. As we come circling around here, if you look ahead of the bill of the cap of the technician, just briefly as we make a pass by the trees here, you'll see a couple black spots, and that was the grizzly bear. Of course, some of the bears are up in the mountains, and some just like to stay up high all summer long. And at certain times of the year, the bears will climb up high here to these talus slopes and roll the rocks over looking for moths and other insects to provide protein for them. So in this case, we're circling over this rocky ridge here off to our left, down below. And there were a couple of bears down on the ridge, rolling rocks over on this day. And again, because of the lens of the camera, we aren't going to be able to get a real good look, and we're passing by at fairly high speed, so it's hard to see, but it'll give you an idea of the varying terrain that the grizzly bear here in Montana does live in, from the top of the mountain ridges up here down 60 miles out on the plains to the bottom of the river bottoms. They're just looking for food, looking for area where they won't be disturbed and by either humans or other bears in general. Pass looking at these two bears down there. Probably won't be able to see them because of the lens, but if you look approximately ahead of the bill of the cap of the technician as we come on around, you might see some glimpses of some little brown dots there on the talus slope, and that's the grizzly bear.